When I was in Kone, I had this Kira thing, 2012 probably, 2011, 2012. I started that icon. Icon was not registered, but then formalized in my own way. I had the logo and then stuff like that. I did develop the website as well. And then 2013, 14, down the line, I decided to quit. There is a stage sometimes in your career that you don't enjoy doing what you're doing. Even though you have, probably that was the best job I had. When I quit that job, I contacted actually John. John, I had met during the trainings with RRQ, and I had done a project with him on a part-time basis. So I knew that he's into consultancy and he's into training and all. So I thought that these 2-3 months before I decide, let me see if he has an opportunity or something. We met. He mentioned that I am about to retire. I will probably not be renewing the license next year. But I have some projects which I did not take up because I don't have time. If you are interested, we can take those projects. You can take the projects, work, all that. And if you want to continue, we will renew the license. I'll have to just speak to my partner sponsor kind of. Advantix was the, let's say, the renovation of that license. He says, I'll just have to speak to Shauki. I said, are you talking about Shauki Sajwani? He says, yes. How do you know him? Believe me, I met Shauki 3 months before I left Kone. He was one of the auditors, came from LRQA for our ISO certifications. Initially, he was coming for 2 days. He continued full 5 days. He actually traveled to Qatar also, which was not in his plan. Those 5 days interaction with him somehow developed in a kind of good way. And when he said Shauki Sajwani, I said, yeah, I know him. I met him, let's say 4, 5, 6 months back or something. Then he says, okay, let me have a word. He mentioned to him, he said, yes, I met him. I know him. Fine. Let him on board. That's how I came on board with Incon as a consultant. I had no stakes in the company. We continued till about 2018. John had already moved to UK. Shauki wouldn't have any business on this license. And he was working as an independent consultant. And there was not much which was basically done by them. So whatever was worked by either me or John was also doing something, but then very little. Based in UK, he was working. So they decided that to discontinue this. So the offer was on the table. If somebody wants, fine. Otherwise, we'll close it out and all. Since the offer was there, I picked it up. I said, fine, I don't mind. And the only thing was whatever the balances were in the payments and adjustment, that's it. I would take the cost of changes. I would take the cost of renewals. So when I renewed the license, I renamed it. They were more into ISO development, consultancies, health and safety, and all that. I do have that, management systems, but then my focus is on EFK. My focus is on business excellence. My focus is on customer service excellence. And these are the areas. And then I am personally keen to help SMEs and startups. Why? Because I see that there is the need. They need to develop themselves from the ground zero rather than waiting for 5 years and then realizing that we are missing this. What we do is, okay, let's start the business. We'll put it formalized once we have reached 5-10 years. It's like organizing, structuring, learning the language of business from the beginning itself. What is that? Putting up a business plan, putting up your strategy, putting up your organizational structure, putting up your policies, procedures, no matter when you need them.
And even if the company is like just one person, solopreneur, or
Why not? You see, it's very easy if I have laid down all that, and when somebody comes on board, I hand over the manual. This is what you have to follow, or this is what we do. Now, it's easy for you, and it helps you bringing people on board as well. If you have clarity, and they see that you as a leader or as a founder, you have clarity, and this is what you want from us, they know what they have to do to basically be part of the growth. Now, if you don't know and you tell them, okay, come tomorrow and I'll assign you something. Yeah. Would you work for somebody who doesn't know what's the work tomorrow?
Lack of clarity.
There you go. So the person who would be coming tomorrow, okay, what is it that I'm going to do? Is he going to give me admin? Is he going to give me a sales job? By not putting these in place, the structure and everything, or the policies, you are opening doors for disaster.
But there is one concern that usually solopreneurs and SME startups have is cost, right? They are like, I can't afford to bring in a consultant. So what do you have to say to them who are concerned about cost? Like,
I will share with you one example of a business which, in fact, their office is in the same building. They are helping solopreneurs or entrepreneurs on their administrative services, like secretarial, like email marketing or appointments, scheduling, those kind of things. For all those people who are single business owners or solopreneurs, as you said. Outsourcing is a solution these days which everybody is applying. Reason being because it's cost effective. It takes out the pressure and the worry from your head, and you can do what you need to do for your business. In simple terms, you get the time to be productive.
To focus on your business rather than, and leave the...
And coming back to the costs, I'm not talking about big consulting companies or big organizations. Why? Because they are there for the multinationals of the bigger organizations. People like me, or people who are in our industries, who are supporting SMEs or startups. We work on a retainer basis. So let's say I get into contract with a startup. We will help you from ground zero until this stage. Now, this stage would require so much time, let's say 1 year, 6 months. And within that, we would develop so and so and so. So for you to be on the track. So, have you seen a racing track? Yeah. What are the key elements of the racing track?
The tracks, and then there are those checkpoints where they change the tires and stuff.
So you have the pit stops.
Pit stops,
How many pit stops?
I don't know.
Okay, sometimes there is one, sometimes there are two.
Okay.
Why do they keep it there? Because you need to break your lap or your the whole length of your drive. Why? Because you need to upgrade, or you need to change, you need to fine tune, you need to replace. That is same for your business. If you do not have those pit stops in your business plan, you will be running and running and running and running and running, and that will give you the fatigue. That will give you that frustration. You have to rest sometimes. And these milestones or these structures, the governance model. And by the way, I would recommend all the solopreneurs, whoever is in the field, try to have somebody on board.
Don't do it alone, right?
If you think you can manage everything on your own as a human being, I'm sorry. We are still human beings. We are not super beings. Probably if you are a superhuman, yes. But as a normal human being, it's impossible. You need to have somebody with you on board, at least one or two, depending, so that you can share responsibility. And you can share the load also. No matter if okay, some people say that I don't want to have partnerships. No, fine, perfectly fine. Have somebody on board as a professional. Yeah, maybe he's not involved into your sticks or into your let's say profitability, but then you can have somebody, or you can share some amount or some percentage with him based on the growth. Otherwise, have them hired as services.
Pay a salary.
And a professional.
Yeah.
Number one, he will do a job which will be error free. Number two, you're not the one who's taking the pain. Number three, once it's done, it's on your table and then for you to review, and then that's it. And you have things done without even taking the pressure off it. So, two things simply: sales and finances or accounting. You need to have two people. Either, okay, sales probably full on board. Finance, somebody on a contract or part-time basis or subcontract, anything of that sort. And even HR. Because today you're one, tomorrow you're going to be two, day after three, and probably 10, 20. And if you don't have these things laid down in the beginning, people who are getting on board, everyone will have its own way. Everyone will have his own mind. Everyone will have his own ethics. But if you have your ethics laid down, people know that this is where we have to follow.
You build that culture right from the beginning.
You set the culture.
Yeah.
You don't need to build. You set the culture. Let's say tomorrow, I'll tell you my example. I have a folder in my, let's say, laptop. I have my policies. I have a different folder for my finance. I have a different folder for my sales. I have a different folder for my customers. All those are there. And I have an organizational structure. A sales function. Marketing is not there, but then, okay, let's say sales and marketing. I have finance, and I have HR, and I have experts. Let's say potential experts when I get a project and I need somebody specialized, which is not my area of specialty, I have an outsource. So I have those functions. Whenever somebody comes, recently when I had somebody on board for marketing, social media and all. So whatever I had done, this is what is there.
It's so easy.
As a history.
Yeah.
Pick it from here. These are the guidelines. Now, I don't want you to follow blindly. He's a professional. I was doing it on my own. So one thing, this is, let's say, the base you have. We want to develop. Now, if you have recommendations, look it through and then recommend them. Let's discuss, see the rationale and see the viability of it. Yeah. And then let's move forward.
Right. I think now, like for companies who are in a particular business, they may not be in a position to be able to create policies and procedures, or like, for example, if you tell me to write policies and procedures, I had no idea what to write, how to write, or all those structures in place. So does Advantix help in creating those structures for the SMEs?
Yeah. So let's let me explain something. When it comes to help is something which people expect to be complementary. Yep, obvious, no? So for that, yes, I do visit or have a meeting. So what I do is I give them 3 hours, complete 3 hours, discussion, understanding where do they stand, who they are, what is it that they want to do. Because I will probably start with the vision of the company. What is it that basically you want to achieve, and how much time, what you have done, where is it that you're looking for. So for me to understand the gap is important, that where they are and where do they want to reach. So that gap I'll have to understand. And then I speak to the leaders, either the owner or the founder or somebody who is basically in charge of decision making. What is their intent? A lot of times I see that I want to streamline my employees. Yep. And I want them to be productive. And okay. And the understanding about the person is that he himself has rescheduled the meeting 3 times. Yep. And the day we met also, he called me that just a minute before the scheduled time that I'll be late by half an hour. And I'm in his office actually sitting. And when he came, we spoke, my people are not punctual. So what does it tell you?
People follow the leader, right?
There you go. So a lot of times, when I say a lot of times, I mean a lot of times, most of the times. It's not the lower level which you need to fix. It's probably the top level that you need to address. And then have them understand that monkey do what monkey see. Simple. So, and when you were saying that leaders have to develop, they have to set that standard themselves. I remember one example, very simple example. They introduced this attendance system. It was not through the card. So they had basically initiated the whole system for the whole organization, about 600 plus employees. And, so everybody would have to come through and then tap the card, get attendance, and people had resistance that, now there'll be queues, otherwise we are just walking through and then that's it. So, of course, there are 2-3 stations only. So when people come in the morning, and if it's a manufacturing unit, they don't come early or they don't have that. So they come in a bus, let's say, a bus of 60 people. And 60 people at the same time with the 3 terminals, it will take time. And they had resistance of all that. And believe me, the owner of the company, when he would come out of his car on the gate, follow the same line, walk through with them, tap his card, and then go. Who can question?
Now
Who can
everybody
resist?
will follow that, right?
Who can make noise?
Yeah.
You're setting your example by yourself. Being with them. You don't have to have a separate tapping card for you or a station for you. No. You're being with them. And once it happened that one of the employees says, no, sir, you come. He says, no, you are ahead of me. You will be tapping first. I'm behind you. It's the system. Follow the system. Otherwise, every manager will come in the front. Yeah? So this is where the leaders set example. 600 plus employees. And within 2-3 days, smooth, normal. He would follow the same. They will follow the same. Simple. So this is how you basically encourage people by setting your own example and then setting the standards. Lead SMEs and startups. Most of the time when I start a business, I have a mind, I want people to follow me. It's good that you have a vision. It's good that you have a goal in your mind and you have basically a direction. But when you bring people on board, you have to be flexible. Now, it's your job to bring them on board with your vision. Otherwise, don't hire people.
Yeah.
You have to hire the right people who are aligned. So when I recommend, let's say, career, what do you call that, personnel that they are looking for a better job or they want to enhance or improve, I tell them, see what the organization stands for. Whether that aligns or their vision, mission, values align with you or you align with them or not. Otherwise, you'll be doing the same frustrated job in another organization without even realizing what you're doing. And that's where the entrepreneurial side also comes. It's all about your passion. It's all about your vision, what you have for yourself or for your organization. And then eventually, somebody has to benefit out of it. and that's the society or the customers you serve. I remember one more quote from one of the gurus. He said, if I am not aligned with what I am giving to my customer, if I'm not aligned with what I am aligned with what I am giving to my customer, I will never be able to satisfy him. And if I'm not able to satisfy the customer I'm serving, there's no point having this business or the work I do. So you have to align yourself, your services to the customer and satisfy. Simple.
So I think for the people who have not started yet their own business, they're, let's say, in the in the corporate world, and aspire to be entrepreneurs, and they want to start their own business, what's your advice for them?
You have to have the spark, the kida. Number one. Number two, you have to have a vision. Yep. And have to have the end in your mind before you start. Now, when I say these three things, this is conceptual. This is all in your mind. First, whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it. And why do you want to do it, by the way? And that vision comes from that why. Then it becomes what. When it becomes what, then comes how. Yeah. So, first of all, you have to have that thing in your, your what do you call that? Inspiration within you. Second thing is, what is it that you are going to benefit either to your customer, your society, people around you, or whatever. Then is, how is it going to work? There comes the business plan. What kind of marketing do you require? What kind of resources do you require? What kind of there are two analyses what we normally do. One is the SWOT, which tells you what are your strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities, and you have to know them. And then you do PESTEL. PESTEL is all about political, economical, and situational, and all that. Once you do the SWOT and PESTEL, you actually know who you are addressing, what are you addressing, and who is addressing. That gives you the clarity whether it is viable or not. Then comes the financial part in that. The financial part, do you have enough resources? Financially, logistically, human-wise, all those areas of speciality to start with. Yeah. When I say human, means it's more of skill and let's say the requirements of the trade. Yeah. So if it is with you, of course you have that. But if you are just having, let's say, some people start a business with some investment, they get funds of whatever, inheritance or bond or lucky to get the lottery or something, and they want to do business. They don't want to do job. Why? Because now they have money. It is easy to immediately start, but then if you don't have this aptitude, you don't have this skill, you don't have the understanding of the trade, you'll lose. You'll lose badly. So those three things, your financial plan, and that's about it. So once you have decided that, okay, I have secured my finances, I've secured my business plan, then how to do? Then comes where. Yeah, PESTEL will tell you where, because it looks around your
the external factors. PESTEL is
all
about
external factors also. Economical situation of the geography is very important. I know a lot of people start a business in the wrong city or the country. Yeah, they think. I'll give you a very simple example. It's a kind of a storytelling. A company sends a sales rep to Africa, and they are manufacturing shoes. This guy goes in Africa, in some area where they are not wearing any shoes. He comes and he says, our business will never pick up. Why? Because nobody wears shoes. They are barefoot. Everybody's barefoot. We will not be able to sell a single pair. They were like, no, this is strange. It's impossible. Somebody recommends that send another person and let's see, have a second opinion. So they pick up another guy, they send him there. This guy goes and he comes back and this guy says, oh, we will have exceptional business. Why? Because nobody's wearing it. We can sell it to everybody. You understand my point?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the perspective and environment way. If you send the first person to start the business there, he'll be a failure with all the investments and equipment and everything. But if you send somebody else or the second person, he probably would succeed. Now, when you do pastel, it tells you all those things. And then from there, you can pick up the rationale. The story tells you both situations. For you to be successful, you have to understand what you can do. Yep. More than what you can't do. So if you can do, or whatever you can do, it's a good to go. Now, one other aspect, people would want to grow like exponentially, like overnight. Impossible. For any business, for any brand, or for any entrepreneur, unless and otherwise, your father is a billionaire, he has huge investment, and you have the backing of that business to support your business or your idea. It's different. Because then you don't have to worry about the finances, you don't have to worry about the losses, you don't have to worry about the pumping, the cash flow and all that. But if you are individual and you are starting with your limited investment, whatever, you need to have all that plan in. There is one session I do actually for the startups, and it's called Get Dressed for Success.
Get dressed for success.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, what does it mean? It means that first of all, you have to have all that vision, blah, blah, blah. But then again, be ready to face the scars right on the face. Be ready to expect COVIDs. And nobody anticipates that. And nobody anticipated also. And now people have started anticipating those kind of catastrophic issues or plagues or whatever. And now everybody has that business risk plan, business continuity plan. These are all based on the risks. I remember in one of the podcasts you were talking about, and then we mentioned that there is always a risk. It has to be calculated. You can anticipate, you can prepare yourself, you can mitigate, but you can never eliminate a risk. Now, when I say that, we prepare business risk plan. We anticipate that this could happen, all the possibilities, especially after COVID, extreme. And then if that happens, what could be our course of action? So that you are at least aware ahead of time that this is what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and what kind of special requirements I would need at that time. Probably some funds, some resources, some clients, customers, dependable, reliable, suppliers. So you have to have all that in your business plan. And that will definitely help you to sustain longer. So when you start up, you have to be ready for next 5 years. And in those 5 years, you will always have ups and downs. You will always face challenges. And if you have properly developed your governance structure and business plan, that business plan includes a risk assessment or business risk and business continuity. That helps you to at least be sustainable.
So Atique, your journey has also been like, you've had a lot of challenges when with COVID and all that, and you recovered. When you look back at your own journey, your entrepreneurial journey, who would you like to give the credit to for your success? Are there any people that you'd like to thank? And
You see, the biggest support you have is your family. Always. And some of the friends. Very close friends. I still basically have one or two friends who've been supportive. My brothers, basically my siblings, sisters. You need to have the moral support also, and believe me, the first person who gets affected with all this is your immediate family, your wife and stuff. So it's not easy. But alhamdulillah, like we have had the toughest times, we have come out of them. It's getting better, let's say. It's stabilized. I must say, I'm not into that, still in that stage where I can say that, okay, I'm, sort of on the growth part, but it has come to that stage because, see, the critical part is I rebranded, I launched in November 2019. March 2020, everything was in lockdown. And I haven't had secured a single project by that time. It was just 3 months. And then especially what happens is when you are launching your brand, when you are representing yourself and you're going into the market with a different perspective, it takes time. And COVID hitting, lockdown, and then because you had already done all the expenses, you have spent for building the brand, all office, rent, so much. And then suddenly having a complete lockdown where you are already limited with your financials. And then you have the lockdown. And then, 2020 out of question. 21 still. By late 2021, there was something that was picked up, and it was very nominal, but good that it picked up from there. 2022, I secured one project and took about 6 months, so fine, some sustainability. 23 onwards, things have been like kind of okay, normal, and a couple of small projects, and now we are working on two big, let's say, proposals. So hopefully we are going to sort of start one of them soon, which is kind of, let's say, we will be now, I can say that, okay, 2024 is going to be something which you're picking up in a sense that, yes, real growth. And I'm going to sort of open up for hiring and all that. So it takes time. When I said get dressed for success, the key element there was and by the way, go back to Denzel Washington. You will never start with commitment, but you will never finish without consistency. So you have to be consistent. Number one, what was your vision? What is it that you want to do? What is the purpose behind that? And that purpose will keep you consistent. That this is what I want to do. If it is just out of your mind that I want to do a business and I want to sort of, be independent, probably you will stop. Probably you will work down the line 1-2 years. If it doesn't work, it's not successful. I have seen with me certain colleagues during COVID, they were redundant. They started up. It didn't work. They went back to jobs. In 22 itself, they went back to jobs and they're still doing jobs. So you have to have the heart, the mind, the soul, and then a crocodile skill. You have to have the crocodile skill to sustain. Some of us actually have really seen the real tough times. But the people who could survive with consistency, with patience and passion, it's all about that. So there are always challenges. Sometimes I see people who have done with the structure, where I go back to is helping them to normalize things. Reason being because they have laid down the path, they have anticipated the risks, they have visualized the mitigation, and they have the end in their mind. So they know this will happen. They know this is what I have to do. Pivoting, okay, by the way, when I started, it was purely consultancy and advisory for big corporates. Yeah, AFKM, business excellence. These are all big corporates. And customer service excellence also retail, big corporates. In that time of, let's say, the COVID period, I realized that bigger fish is difficult. There are people who are at smaller scale. They need and they can. And they can afford also, if it is a smaller. One of my gurus actually, he said, if there is drought and there is no water in the sea or let's say in the lake, which ship will be difficult to move?
The bigger ones.
Right. The smaller ones need a little bit of, let's say, little water and they can still float.
Yeah.
Don't think big. There's not enough water in the lake. It's very little. Come to the size where you can help and support the industry which is small. That's how I started working with SMEs and startups. And that's how this thing became one of the highlights of my business, let's say, or business coaching. Otherwise, I would have been gone by this time.
On that note, Atique, I would like to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your journey. And here is a small token of appreciation. Thanks.
This deserves...
Awesome.
There you go. Thank you
Brilliant.
very
Thank you so
much.
much.
And pleasure being here, honestly. I loved talking to you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Atique Muhammad, the founder of Advantix, and you've been watching and listening to Be Your Own Boss.